Hello, and welcome to GTMF Musical Road Trips. My name is Meaghan Heinrich, and I'll be your host. You may be stuck at home, but we're ready to take you on a virtual vacation of amazing music. You'll meet our musicians, see where they live, and I'll be here to guide you as we explore their music by moving, singing, dancing, and clapping along. And now, buckle your seatbelts because we're off on our musical road trip. Bundle up! We're off to the windy city of Chicago, Illinois. We'll be visiting the iconic Alice Millar Chapel on the campus of Northwestern University. You'll see and hear these festival musicians who call Chicago home. Barbara Butler, trumpet. Taga Larson, trumpet. Gail Williams, horn. Michael Mulcahy, trombone. And Eugene Pokorny, tuba. If you were counting along, you might have noticed that we have 5 musicians in this concert, and they all play instruments that look and sound very similar. The trumpet, horn, trombone, and tuba are all brass instruments, and when we take one of each and add one more trumpet, we call it a brass quintet. Quintet means 5 musicians playing together. The first piece you'll hear our brass quintet play is based on a very old hymn, a song with words that you might hear in a church service called How Brightly Beams the Morning Star. How brightly beams the morning star, the nations see and hail afar, the light in Judah shining. The American composer John HARBISON took this tune and created an instrumental version for our brass quintet. At the beginning, you'll hear just the 2 trumpets playing together, so we'll hold up 2 fingers. That will then switch to 2 other players, the horn and trombone, playing by themselves, so hold up 2 fingers on your other hand. We'll then magically put those together into 4 as they join each other, and finally add our 5th player, the tuba, for a brightly beaming morning star. Before we hear more music from our brass quintet, let's get to know a little more about one of our musicians. Here's my Zoom conversation with the Grand Teton Music Festival's principal horn player, Gail Williams. So, hello, Gail Williams. Welcome. You are in Chicago right now, is that right?
Yes, actually in Evanston, Illinois.
Excellent. So, tell us a little bit about living in Evanston and teaching at Northwestern University.
It's different because some students are still on Zoom and remote, but 18 of them, of my students, are here. And we actually have a class that's very spread apart. So it's really exciting to have, during this time of COVID, that we're actually having in-person lessons.
Wow. And what sort of things do you do when you have all of them together in one class?
Well, I have two classes. One is we've kind of designated it as a recital hour. There were some people that didn't do a recital last year because of COVID, and so they have done their recitals. There are people that are sophomores that need to do half a recital, so they're doing theirs. Juniors are doing all of theirs. In the freshman class last week, 5 of them played little like 10-minute pieces. And then on Saturday afternoon, because there's no orchestra except for strings, that we're just reading through large orchestral pieces. Last week we did a little bit of Mahler 2. We're going to do a little bit more Mahler 2. We're going to do some Mahler 6. You know, with 18 horn students, they're like, yeah, let's do this.
So tell us about why it's great to play Mahler on the horn.
We have some of the best musical lines to ever play in music in Mahler. And of course, all horn players think of Mahler 5. But there are 9 of these fantastic symphonies, and they're all different. There's not one that's the same for the horns. And more predominant, more are chamber music, like Mahler 4 is more like a chamber music piece. And then you have this massive, the third symphony, which it's like you have to go do push-ups with your lips, you know, so you can play it.
That sounds hard. I'm not sure I'm going to try that right now. What do you enjoy about playing in a small group like the brass quintet that we're hearing today?
Well, I feel that this chamber music setting is one of the best things you can do for yourself because you're communicating directly with one another. So you're having a conversation with some of your best friends when you're playing chamber music. In an orchestra, you sort of play chamber music, but with a lot of people. And in chamber music with 5 people, you are really in contact with them, and your body language, your visual contact, and your musical contact. And you're trying to match their phrases and match length of notes. And there's just so many details that it's one of the best things you can do for your playing and one of the best things you can do for your soul.
And speaking of things you do for your soul, what do you enjoy most about coming to Jackson Hole to the Grand Teton Music Festival in the summertime?
Well, in my studio at Northwestern, you would think I was in Jackson because not only do I have a hiking map on one of my walls, that when I get a little time between lessons, I kind of go look at that and say, I wonder what haven't I done? There's a picture on the wall of me being at the saddle between the middle and the grand playing my Alp horn because I took it to the top 20 years ago this August. And I've done the entire crest trail with musicians from the festival. We plan our hikes before we get there. I bike to rehearsal. I play my horn, but I play outside all summer. I love it. I live for those 2 months.
Okay, I have to come back to you taking your Alp horn to the top of a mountain. How does it, this is an incredibly long instrument? How does it come apart and how do you carry it up to the top of a mountain?
Okay, it's made out of carbon fiber. It collapses to about 3 feet from 12 feet. Like a, you unveil it. You can see it this summer. It's in my closet in my Aspens condo.
Wow.
And I could send you a picture of Donald Runnels playing it on a hike. We went up to close to Ski Lake up that way, and we were playing it on top of one of those bridges. And it's a great sound. When I went up to the Grand, it was before we had cell phones as we do today. So I didn't record it, but there was a 7-second echo up there. And one of the guides was on the middle, and he came down and he had tears in his eyes. He said, "I've been climbing for 30 years. I've never heard anything quite like that." So I was signaling to whomever was over in Idaho or over in Wyoming. I mean, it really was carrying. Yeah.
Signaling. In fact, you could kind of say the Alphorn is like a precursor to the cell phone.
Absolutely. Sure it is. Sure it is. There's actually in Brahms Symphony No. 1, the beginning of the fourth movement, there's a solo that goes.
Amazing. Amazing.
And it fits perfectly on the Alphorn.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about yourself and the horn, and we look forward to hearing more of your music.
Please come out this summer. I can't wait.
Our next selection comes from a set of pieces by Johann Sebastian Bach, originally written for a church organ, called The Art of the Fugue. So what exactly is a fugue? In this type of music, one or more players start playing a melody. The others join in, imitating it a little bit later. It's hard to describe in words, so let's try a demonstration. We're going to hear Gail Williams start playing the song Are You Sleeping on her horn. When I join in singing, sing along with me, and we'll see what happens between the two of us.
Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, Brother John? Brother John, morning bells are ringing, morning bells are ringing, ding dang dong, ding dang dong.
Our brass quintet won't be playing Are You Sleeping, but they will be playing a fugue based on a melody that sounds like these words. Now, how would you say these words if you didn't know who was knocking at your door? Who is it? How would you say them if you were trying to figure out who had been tapped last in a game of tag? Who is it? Just like there are many different ways to say these words, there are many different ways to play the melody. See if you can listen in our Fugue by J.S. Bach for how many times you hear the Who Is It melody and which instrument is playing it. There's a long tradition of brass instruments playing Christmas carols. Maybe you've heard some playing around the holidays where you live. It may not be December while you're watching this concert, but we couldn't resist including the joyful sounds of Christmas crackers played by our brass quintet as our grand finale. It's always more fun to make music with your friends, and I think you'll be able to tell that our musicians really enjoy making music together. Which two Christmas carols do you hear? Which musician switches instruments? And can you play or tap along on an instrument at home or at school? Let's get into the holiday spirit with Christmas Crackers for Brass Quintet. Thank you so much for joining us today on our musical road trip to Chicago. On behalf of the Grand Teton Music Festival and all of our festival musicians, we are so grateful to be sharing our music with you. Join us for our other musical road trips where we'll visit musicians in New York, Houston, and more. And we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email or a letter, and maybe we'll include it in a future virtual concert. Until next time, I'm your host, Meaghan, and I hope you'll keep making music of your own.